I stood alone at a desolate gas station in the Arizona desert, 8 months pregnant, watching my husband Derek's SUV disappear down the highway with his mother, sister, and brother inside. They were headed to their annual family beach resort vacation. Derek laughed as he drove away, shouting, "Take a nice walk." I had been left behind deliberately. My phone was dead. The temperature was 104 degrees. The gas station attendant just told me they were closing in 20 minutes. I felt the baby kick hard as panic set in. The dust from Derek's tires still hung in the air as I stood there, one hand on my swollen belly, the other shielding my eyes from the brutal afternoon sun. This could not be happening. This could not be real. Let me back up and explain how I got here. My name is Lana, and I had been married to Derek for 3 years. 3 years of trying to fit into a family that never wanted me there. His mother Patricia, his sister Donna, and his brother Tyler had made it clear from day one that I was not good enough for their precious Derek. But I loved him. Or at least, I thought I did. I thought marriage meant partnership, support, building a life together. When I got pregnant, I was overjoyed. Derek seemed happy at first, but as my belly grew, something shifted. He became distant, critical. Every pound I gained was commented on. Every moment of pregnancy fatigue was called laziness. His family got worse too. Patricia would make pointed remarks about how I was letting myself go. Donna posted memes on social media about baby-trapping men. Tyler just smirked whenever I was around. Still, when Derek announced we were going on the annual family beach vacation to Palmetto Shores luxury resort in California, I assumed I was included. I was his wife. I was carrying his child. Of course I would be included. The drive from our home in Phoenix had been tense. Derek drove while Patricia sat in the passenger seat, commanding the conversation. Donna and Tyler were in the middle row, and I was squeezed into the back with the luggage, uncomfortable and hot. Nobody asked if I needed a bathroom break. Nobody asked if I was hungry. Nobody asked if I was okay. When Derek pulled into this gas station off Route 87, in the middle of absolute nowhere, I was relieved. My back ached. My bladder felt like it might explode. The baby had been kicking my ribs for the past 30 miles. "Bathroom break?" Derek announced. "Make it quick." I struggled out of the SUV, my movements slow and awkward. Donna filmed me on her phone, giggling. "Look at her waddle," she whispered to Tyler, but loud enough for me to hear. The gas station was small and run down, the kind of place that probably saw more tumbleweeds than customers. The bathroom was around the back, and it took me a while to get there, then longer to actually use it. Pregnancy had made everything a challenge. When I finally finished and washed my hands in the rusty sink, I felt the baby do a somersault. I patted my belly. "I know, sweetheart. We will be at the beach soon. You can hear the waves." But when I walked back around to the front of the building, my heart dropped into my stomach. The SUV was pulling away. "Wait!" I screamed, breaking into the fastest run my pregnant body could manage. "Derek, wait!" I saw his face in the side mirror. He was smirking. Actually smirking. His mother Patricia gave me a cold, dismissive wave, the kind you would give to a stranger you were mildly annoyed by. Donna had her phone up, filming my desperate chase, laughing so hard she was probably crying. The SUV turned onto the highway and accelerated. Within seconds, they were gone. I stood in the parking lot, gasping for breath, sweat pouring down my face, my heart hammering so hard I was afraid it would hurt the baby. What just happened? Did my husband really just abandon me? Did his family really just leave a pregnant woman in the desert? "Ma'am, are you all right?" I turned to see an elderly man in grease-stained coveralls walking toward me. His face was weathered and kind, his eyes concerned. A name tag on his chest read Eddie. They just left me," I managed to say, my voice shaking. "My husband, his family, they just drove away." Eddie's face darkened with anger. "I saw the whole thing. I was filling up a customer's tank and watched that SUV peel out of here while you were chasing it. That's not right. That's not right at all. He guided me to a plastic chair in the shade of the building's overhang and brought me a bottle of cold water from inside. My hands trembled as I opened it and drank. The baby kicked again, harder this time, as if she was as upset as I was. Do you have a phone? Eddie asked gently. Someone you can call? I pulled my phone from my pocket. Dead. Completely dead. The charger was in the SUV. In my bag. Everything was in the SUV. My purse, my clothes, my prenatal vitamins, everything. You can use the station phone, Eddie offered. Come inside where it's cool. The air conditioning inside the tiny station office was a relief. Eddie handed me the cordless phone, and I stared at it for a moment. Who could I call? My parents were on a cruise somewhere in the Caribbean with no cell service. My brother was deployed overseas with the Marines. My best friend Claire was in the middle of a 36-hour surgery rotation at the hospital. I dialed Derek's number. It rang twice, then he answered. What? His voice was casual, almost bored. Derek, you left me. You have to come back. I am 8 months pregnant, and you left me at a gas station in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I know, he said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. You have been nothing but a burden this whole pregnancy, Lana. My family agrees. You complain constantly, you look terrible, and frankly, we deserve a vacation without your drama. Figure it out. Figure it out? Derek, I have no car, no money, my phone is dead. Not my problem anymore, he interrupted. Enjoy your walk. The line went dead. He hung up on me. My husband, the father of my child, hung up on me and told me to enjoy my walk. I tried calling back. It went straight to voicemail. He had blocked me. Eddie watched this exchange, his jaw tight with anger. That man is your husband? I nodded, unable to speak. Tears were streaming down my face now. The reality was crashing over me in waves. I had been abandoned, deliberately, cruelly abandoned. How much money do you have? Eddie asked practically. I checked my wallet. $17. That was it. Derek controlled all our finances. I had not had my own bank account since we got married. He said it was easier to manage money from one account. I believed him. I trusted him. The next town is 43 miles from here, Eddie said quietly. No Uber or Lyft comes out this far. No taxi service either. And ma'am, I hate to tell you this, but we close at 6 o'clock. That is in an hour and 45 minutes. I looked at the clock on the wall. 4:15. In less than 2 hours, I would be alone in the desert, pregnant, with no transportation, no phone, and $17. I do not know what to do, I whispered. Eddie was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then he said something that changed everything. My daughter works as an intern at the local news station. This story, what just happened to you, this is the kind of thing people need to hear about. Would you be willing to talk to the press? Sometimes public pressure is the only thing that makes people do the right thing. I looked up at him. Through my tears, through my fear and humiliation, something else was stirring. Anger. Real, burning anger. Derek thought he could just dispose of me like trash? His family thought they could film my suffering for their entertainment? Yes, I said, my voice steadier than I expected. Yes, I will talk to them. Eddie smiled grimly and picked up the phone. Let me make a call. Eddie's daughter arrived with a news crew 90 minutes later. By then, I had drunk 3 bottles of water, eaten a granola bar Eddie insisted on giving me, and used the bathroom twice more. The baby was active, restless, probably sensing my stress. The reporter who stepped out of the news van was a woman in her early 30s with sharp eyes and professional demeanor. Her name was Jade Martinez, and she introduced herself with a firm handshake. Jade Martinez, Channel 7 News. My colleague Eddie called and gave me the basics, but I want to hear it from you. Is it true your husband abandoned you here while you are 8 months pregnant? I nodded. Jade's cameraman, a quiet guy named Steve, started setting up equipment while Jade sat down next to me in the station office. Can you tell me everything that happened? Start from the beginning. So I did. I told her about the family vacation I thought I was invited on. I told her about being squeezed in the back seat with the luggage. I told her about the bathroom break and coming out to find them driving away. I told her about Derek's phone call, his cold dismissal, his words that I was a burden. Jade's expression grew darker with every sentence. When I finished, she looked at Eddie. You witnessed this? Every bit of it, Eddie confirmed. I saw her chasing that SUV, saw them laughing as they drove off. I got the license plate number too, and we have security footage. Security footage? Jade's eyes lit up. Can I see it? Eddie pulled up the recording on the old computer behind the counter. There it was, in grainy but clear footage. Me walking to the bathroom, the SUV waiting, then me inside the building, and the SUV pulling away. Then me running out, chasing them, my pregnant belly obvious, my desperation visible even in the poor quality video. And you could see Donna in the window, phone up, filming, mouth open in laughter. Can I get a copy of this? Jade asked, her voice tight with barely controlled anger. Already made you one, Eddie said, handing her a USB drive. Jade turned back to me. Lana, I want to be clear about what I am about to do. If you agree, I am going to interview you on camera. I am going to tell your story, and I am going to share it with the world. Are you comfortable with that? I thought about Derek, about his smirk, about his mother's dismissive wave, about Donna's laughter. I thought about how I had given up my job as a pediatric nurse because Derek insisted I should focus on being a wife. I thought about how I had been isolated from my friends, controlled financially, criticized constantly. I thought about my daughter, growing inside me, and what kind of world I wanted her to be born into. Yes, I said firmly. I want people to know what happened. I want people to know what kind of man leaves his pregnant wife stranded in the desert. We filmed the interview outside, with the desolate gas station and empty highway as backdrop. Jade asked me questions, and I answered honestly. I did not exaggerate, did not embellish. I did not need to. The truth was damning enough. I showed her the text messages from before Derek blocked me, messages where he called me fat and useless and said I was ruining his life with my pregnancy needs. I showed her the voicemails from earlier in the pregnancy where his mother Patricia told me I was trapping her son and I should consider other options regarding the baby. Eddie stood next to me during part of the interview, providing his witness testimony. He was articulate and angry on my behalf in a way that made me want to cry. This stranger cared more about my well-being than my own husband did. When the interview wrapped, Jade looked at me seriously. Lana, I am going to post a short version of this to our social media right now, tonight. The full story will air tomorrow morning. But I have a feeling this is going to move fast. Are you prepared for that? I did not really understand what she meant, but I nodded anyway. Jade pulled out her laptop right there in the gas station and edited together a 2-minute clip, me explaining what happened, the security footage, Eddie's testimony. She typed out a caption, "Breaking, pregnant woman abandoned by husband and his family at remote gas station. Full story tonight." She added hashtags. "Find Derek, Justice for Lana, pregnant and abandoned." She hit post. Within 10 minutes, the video had 1,000 views. Within 20 minutes, 5,000. Within an hour, it had 50,000 views and was climbing fast. My phone, now charged thanks to Eddie's charger, started buzzing. Numbers I did not recognize. Friend requests on social media from strangers. Messages pouring into my inbox. Jade monitored her laptop, her eyes widening. Lana, this is going viral. Like, really viral. We are at 100,000 shares now. I could not process what that meant. I just sat there, exhausted, overwhelmed, watching numbers climb on a screen. Then the comments started rolling in. Find this man and arrest him. What kind of monster abandons a pregnant woman? Someone identify these people. They need to face consequences. I am 8 months pregnant too, and this makes me sick. How could anyone do this? The internet, it turned out, was very good at finding information. Within 2 hours of Jade's post going live, someone had identified Derek. They found his Facebook profile, his LinkedIn, his place of employment. They found Patricia's church group page. They found Donna's Instagram, where she had, stupidly, posted videos from earlier that day with location tags. One particular video made everything worse for them. Donna had filmed me struggling to get out of the SUV at an earlier stop, had added mocking text, "When you are too fat to move," with crying, laughing emojis. People found it, screen recorded it, and shared it everywhere as evidence of the family's cruelty. Another internet sleuth found Tyler's girlfriend's Facebook and sent her the news story. Within 30 minutes, Tyler's girlfriend posted her own statement, "Just saw what my boyfriend's family did. We are done. I want nothing to do with people capable of this." The video kept climbing. 500,000 shares. 750,000. At the 2-hour mark, it hit 1 million shares and was trending on every social platform. Major news outlets started picking it up. CNN mentioned it. A popular morning show tweeted about it. Celebrities with millions of followers were sharing it with comments like, "This is horrifying," and "Find this man." Then, at around 8:30 that evening, something extraordinary happened. The official social media account for Palmetto Shores Luxury Resort, the place where Derek and his family were staying, posted a public comment on Jade's video. "We have been made aware of this situation. Palmetto Shores does not tolerate guests who abandon pregnant family members. Derek Sutherland's reservation has been canceled immediately, and the family has been asked to leave our property. We are sending a car to bring Lana to our resort with our sincerest apologies and full accommodations at no charge. This is not who we are, and we stand with you, Lana." I read the comment 3 times before it sank in. The resort was kicking Derek out. They were sending a car for me. I was not stranded anymore. I started crying, but this time not from fear or sadness, from relief. From the overwhelming realization that thousands, now millions, of complete strangers cared more about my well-being than my own husband did. Jade hugged me. Eddie squeezed my shoulder. And outside, I could see headlights approaching. The car from Palmetto Shores was already on its way. The car that pulled up to Eddie's gas station was not just any car. It was a black luxury sedan with tinted windows and leather seats so soft they felt like clouds. The driver, a kind-faced man named Marcus, who was probably in his 50s, greeted me with genuine warmth. "Miss Lana, I am so sorry for what you have been through. Let me help you into the car." He had brought pillows, actual pillows for back support. He had brought bottles of cold water, fresh fruit, crackers, a blanket. He treated me like I was someone important, someone worthy of care. I hugged Eddie goodbye, promising to stay in touch. Jade gave me her card and told me to call if I needed anything. As Marcus pulled away from that desolate gas station, I watched it disappear in the side mirror and felt like I was leaving behind the worst version of my life. The drive to Palmetto Shores would normally take about 3.5 hours, but Marcus drove efficiently and carefully. He did not push me to talk, just let me rest, occasionally asking if I needed to stop or if I was comfortable. My phone, sitting in my lap, would not stop buzzing. I finally looked at it. Thousands of notifications, friend requests, messages, tags, news outlets requesting interviews, talk shows asking me to appear, lawyers offering representation, domestic violence organizations offering support. But the most interesting notifications were the ones about Derek. His employer, a mid-sized accounting firm called Brennan and Associates, had released a public statement. "We are aware of the situation involving our employee Derek Sutherland. We take matters of character and ethics seriously and are investigating this matter thoroughly." Someone had found Patricia's church and emailed the pastor. The church's social media page now had a statement: "We are deeply troubled by recent events and are addressing this within our congregation." Donna's employer, ironically an HR department at a marketing firm, had also posted something. "An employee's personal conduct that contradicts our values is being reviewed." And Tyler's landscaping company's Facebook page was flooded with one-star reviews and comments about employing someone who laughs at abusing pregnant women. The internet had mobilized. Derek and his family were facing consequences in real time. But then I saw something that made my stomach turn. Someone had leaked more videos from Donna's private Instagram. Videos I had not known existed. Videos of Derek's family mocking me from throughout the pregnancy. Patricia imitating my pregnancy waddle. Tyler joking about Lana the whale. Donna filming my feet, which were swollen from pregnancy, with the caption, "Gross." I felt sick. Not just because of the cruelty, but because I had lived with these people. I had sat at their dinner table. I had tried so hard to make them like me, to be good enough for them. And the whole time, they had been doing this. Marcus glanced at me in the rearview mirror. "You okay back there, Miss Lana?" "I do not know," I admitted. "I do not know how I did not see it, how I let it get this bad." "Abuse makes you blind," Marcus said quietly. "Especially when it is from people who are supposed to love you. It is not your fault." We drove in silence for a while after that. I watched the desert landscape turn to coastal scenery, the dry heat giving way to cool ocean breezes. Around 11 at night, we pulled into Palmetto Shores. The resort was beautiful. Even in the darkness, I could see manicured lawns, elegant buildings, the shimmer of pools lit up with blue lights. Marcus pulled up to the main entrance, where a woman in a crisp suit was waiting. "Lana, this is Catherine Chen, the resort manager," Marcus introduced us. Catherine stepped forward with a warm smile, but her eyes were serious. "Lana, on behalf of Palmetto Shores, I want to apologize. What happened to you should never have happened, and while it did not happen on our property, the fact that our guests were involved makes us feel responsible. Please, come inside." She led me through the lobby, past staring guests who clearly recognized me from the viral story, into an elevator. We went up to the top floor, and Catherine unlocked a door to the most beautiful hotel suite I had ever seen. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. A king-sized bed with what looked like 1,000 pillows. A bathroom bigger than my bedroom at home. A sitting area with a couch and television. Fresh flowers on every surface. "This is our presidential suite," Catherine explained. "It is yours for as long as you need it. All meals are included. Spa services if you want them. Anything you need, just call the front desk." I could not speak. I just stood there, trying not to cry again. "There is something else you should know," Catherine continued, her voice careful. "Derek and his family were escorted from the property at approximately 7 this evening. It was not pleasant. Derek tried to argue, claimed you were lying for attention. But several other guests had already recognized them from the video. Some of those guests complained to us directly about Derek's family's behavior earlier in the day. We had no choice but to ask them to leave." "What kind of behavior?" I asked. Catherine hesitated, then pulled out her phone. "Security footage from the pool area earlier today, before the story broke, before anyone knew." She showed me the video. There was Derek, lounging by the pool. And next to him, very close to him, was a woman I did not recognize. She was young, maybe 25, in a bikini. Derek had his arm around her. They were laughing, drinking. At one point, he kissed her. Not a friendly kiss, a romantic kiss. My knees went weak. Catherine guided me to sit on the couch. "We have witness statements from guests who saw them together all afternoon," Catherine said gently. "One guest took photos." She handed me her phone again. More photos, Derek and this mystery woman. His hand on her thigh, her head on his shoulder. Them sharing a plate of food. looking at each other the way married people should look at each other. The way Derek used to look at me, years ago, before everything went wrong. "Who is she?" I whispered. Catherine pulled up a screenshot from someone's investigative work on social media. Based on tags and Derek's coworkers' social media, her name is Madison Clark. She works at the same accounting firm. Looks like they have been seeing each other for at least several months. 7 months. My entire pregnancy. While I was home, swollen and exhausted, giving up my career to focus on being his wife, going to prenatal appointments alone because he was always too busy, Derek was having an affair. I should have been devastated. I should have broken down. But instead, I felt something else click into place. Clarity. This was not about me being too fat, too needy, too burdensome. This was about Derek being a cheater and a coward who wanted to start a new life, but did not want to face the consequences of divorce and child support. This was about a man so selfish he thought he could just erase his pregnant wife from his life. "Can I have copies of all of this?" I asked, my voice steady. "The security footage, the photos, the witness statements?" Catherine smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a woman who understood exactly what I was planning. "I already made you copies. They are in this envelope." She handed me a thick manila folder. "And Lana? If you need legal representation, I know some excellent attorneys who would probably work with you pro bono given the publicity." I took the envelope. Inside was everything I would need. Evidence of Derek's affair. Evidence of his abandonment. Evidence that would make any divorce proceeding very, very simple. "Thank you," I said. "Thank you for caring." "Women should protect women," Catherine said simply. "Get some rest. Tomorrow is a new day." After she left, I sat in that beautiful suite, looking out at the dark ocean, one hand on my belly where my daughter was sleeping. I thought about Derek, probably in some cheap motel now, his perfect vacation ruined. I thought about his family, facing consequences for their cruelty. I thought about Madison, who apparently had no idea Derek had a pregnant wife. And I thought about myself, about the woman I had been, always trying to be smaller, quieter, more acceptable, and the woman I was becoming, the one who would fight back. I picked up my phone and sent a text to the number Jade had given me. "I am ready to tell the whole story. When can we do a follow-up interview?" Her response came immediately. "Tomorrow. Let us bury him." I woke up the next morning to the sound of waves and sunlight streaming through the massive windows. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then it all came back. The abandonment, the viral video, the affair. I sat up slowly, my back aching, and felt the baby stretch inside me. "Good morning, little one," I whispered. "Your mama is about to become a fighter." Room service brought breakfast at 8. Fresh fruit, whole grain toast, eggs cooked perfectly. I ate on the balcony, watching the ocean, checking my phone. The story had exploded even further overnight. 15 million views now. International news outlets covering it. My face was everywhere. At 9, there was a knock at my door. Catherine was there with another woman, tall and fierce-looking with silver hair pulled back in a tight bun. "Lana, this is Helen Russo. She is an attorney who specializes in family law and domestic abuse cases. She saw your story and wanted to help." Helen shook my hand with a grip like iron. "I have been practicing law for 32 years. I have seen a lot of terrible husbands. Derek might be in my top 5 worst. Want to destroy him legally?" I smiled for the first time in what felt like days. Yes, I do." We sat in the suite's living area, and Helen pulled out a notepad and recorder. "Tell me everything. Every detail of your marriage, his behavior, the financial control, everything." So I did. I told her about how Derek insisted I quit my nursing job 6 months into our marriage. How he said one income was enough and I should focus on making a home. How I had not had my own bank account since then. How he controlled every penny, gave me an allowance of $50 a week for groceries and necessities. how I had to ask permission to buy anything beyond that. I told her about the criticism that started subtly and grew worse, how my cooking was never good enough, how I did not clean properly, how I was not affectionate enough, then later too clingy, how nothing I did was ever right. I told her about the isolation, how Derek slowly convinced me my friends were bad influences, how he discouraged me from seeing my family, said they were too demanding of my time. How by the time I got pregnant, I barely spoke to anyone outside of Derek and his family. Helen's expression grew darker with every word. She took notes, asked clarifying questions, built a timeline. Then she asked about finances. Do you know what Derek makes? Around $90,000 a year, I think. Do you know what is in your joint accounts? He never let me see the statements. He said I did not need to worry about it. Helen's jaw tightened. That is financial abuse. Clear cut. Do you own a home? Yes. Well, Derek does. It is in his name only. He bought it before we married, and never added me. But you have been married 3 years and lived there the whole time. In Arizona, that is marital property. You are entitled to half its value, or to keep the home. Do you have any documentation of him denying you access to financial information? I thought about it. I have emails where I asked about our savings and he told me not to worry about it. I have texts where I asked if we could set up an account for the baby, and he said it was not necessary yet. Perfect. That is evidence. What about the affair? Besides what the resort gave you, do you have anything else? I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through Derek's social media, which he had not locked down yet. There were photos from months ago, before I even knew about this trip, of him and Madison at office parties. In one photo from 4 months ago, her hand was on his chest. The caption Derek wrote was "Great Team Building Day with the Best Coworkers." I showed Helen. She photographed it with her own phone. Discovery is going to be fun. His employer will have to turn over records of their relationship if we subpoena them. And given that she is a subordinate employee, this is not just an affair. It is a workplace ethics violation. His firm will not be happy. We worked for 3 hours. Helen drafted paperwork for an emergency divorce filing, a request for temporary spousal support, a restraining order, and a motion for full custody with supervised visitation only. She made copies of everything from the resort. She compiled all the text messages, social media posts, and videos that had been circulating online. This is one of the strongest cases I have ever had, Helen said with satisfaction. He abandoned you while 8 months pregnant, there is video evidence, he committed adultery, he financially abused you, and it is all incredibly well documented. Lana, you are going to be fine. More than fine. How long will this take? In Arizona, divorce takes 60 days minimum after filing. But I can get you emergency support within a week. And given the publicity, I suspect Derek will want to settle fast and quietly. He has no leverage here. None. After Helen left to file the paperwork, I checked social media again. The implosion of Derek's life was accelerating. Brennan and Associates had updated their statement. After a thorough review, Derek Sutherland is no longer employed with our firm. We have zero tolerance for workplace misconduct and ethical violations. He had been fired. The affair with a subordinate, combined with the viral video making his employer look bad by association, had cost him his job. Patricia's church had also updated their post. Patricia Montgomery will be stepping down from her volunteer leadership positions while we address recent concerns within our community. Donna had posted a rambling apology on her Instagram. I did not realize how my actions would be perceived. I am sorry if anyone was offended. The comments were ruthless. Sorry if people were offended? You filmed a pregnant woman being abandoned. This is not an apology. You are only sorry you got caught. The most surprising development was a private message I received from Madison, the affair partner. Lana, I just found out about you. Derek told me you two were separated and divorce was pending. He said you were not pregnant, that you had a medical condition that made you look pregnant, but were not actually expecting. I know that sounds insane, but I believed him. I am so sorry. I have left him. My fiancé, who I was also cheating on, left me too. I deserve that. But you did not deserve any of this. I am sorry. I stared at that message for a long time. Derek had lied to her too. He had lied to everyone. He had constructed this elaborate web of deception so he could have his affair without consequences. I wrote back, "Thank you for telling me. I do not know if I can forgive you, but I understand you were lied to as well. I hope you figure out your own life." She responded immediately, "I will testify for you if you need me to. About the affair, about his lies, anything. It is the least I can do." I forwarded that conversation to Helen. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. "Lana?" The voice was male, older, tentative. "Yes? This is Graham, Derek's father." I froze. Graham had divorced Patricia 5 years ago. Derek rarely spoke about him, and I had only met him twice, briefly, at awkward family events where Patricia glared daggers at him the whole time. "I have been following what happened," Graham continued. "I need you to know that I am horrified. I am ashamed that my son did this, and I want to help if you will let me." "Help how?" "I left Patricia because she is abusive. Emotionally, psychologically abusive. She turned our children into extensions of herself. Tyler and Donna. They do whatever she says because they are scared of her disapproval. And Derek, he is the worst of them because he is the oldest, the golden child. She taught him that he is entitled to everything and accountable for nothing." Graham's voice cracked. "I tried to stay for the kids, but it was destroying me. When I left, Patricia turned them against me. Told them I abandoned the family, that I was selfish. I have barely spoken to my own children in 5 years. But Lana, I want to know my grandchild, and I want to testify on your behalf. About the family dynamics, about Patricia's behavior, about how Derek was raised to think women exist to serve him. Will you let me?" I was crying now. "Yes, yes please. Thank you." "And Lana? I am so sorry I did not protect you when I had the chance. I saw the signs at those family gatherings. I saw how they treated you. I should have said something. You are saying something now. That is what matters." After we hung up, I sat on the balcony and watched the ocean. In 24 hours, my entire life had transformed. I had gone from abandoned and powerless to supported and strong. Derek had gone from smug and in control to unemployed and exposed. His family had gone from cruel and untouchable to facing real consequences. The baby kicked, and I put my hand on my belly. "Your grandfather wants to meet you," I whispered. "Your real grandfather. The good one." That evening, Jade came to the resort to film a follow-up interview. This time, I was not desperate and stranded. I was rested, clear-headed, and ready to tell the whole truth. We sat on the balcony overlooking the ocean. The lighting was golden and beautiful, and I told my story again, but this time with more detail. I explained the financial abuse, the emotional manipulation, the isolation. I talked about giving up my career. I showed more of Derek's cruel text messages. I revealed the affair. "What do you want people to know?" Jade asked at the end. I looked directly at the camera. "I want women in similar situations to know it is not your fault. Abuse makes you feel crazy, makes you doubt yourself. It isolates you slowly until you do not realize how alone you have become. But there is a way out. Ask for help. There are people who will help you. And if your partner treats you like a burden for having needs, for being pregnant, for existing, then they are showing you who they are. Believe them." The interview went up that night and immediately went viral again. 8 million views in the first hour. The comment section was full of women sharing their own stories of abuse, of financial control, of being left, Organizations posted resources. Lawyers offered help to others in similar situations. And in a cheap motel an hour away, I imagined Derek watching all of this, realizing he had not gotten away with anything. Realizing he had, in fact, lost everything. 3 days later, Derek tried to salvage his reputation. He posted a video to his social media, clearly coached by some PR person he probably could not afford anymore since he was unemployed. He wore a nice shirt, sat in front of a neutral background, and spoke in a practiced, remorseful tone. I want to address the recent situation involving my wife Lana. I made a mistake in judgment. I was under a lot of stress, and I handled things poorly. Family dynamics were complicated, and I let that affect my decision-making. I love my wife, and I love our unborn child. I am committed to making things right and being the husband and father they deserve. I ask for privacy as we work through this difficult time. The video was calculated, vague, designed to make him seem thoughtful without actually admitting to anything specific. He did not mention abandoning me, did not mention the affair, did not mention the financial abuse. Just a mistake in judgment and family dynamics. The internet destroyed him within minutes. A mistake in judgment? You left a pregnant woman in the desert. Oh, family dynamics made you cheat? Cool excuse, bro. The audacity to say you love your wife after what you did. Notice how he does not actually apologize. The like-to-dislike ratio was devastating. For every one person who liked his video, 500 disliked it. The comments were so brutal that Derek turned them off within an hour. But the damage was done. The video made everything worse for him because it showed he was not genuinely sorry, just sorry he got caught. Then Madison posted her own statement. She did it on a simple text post to Instagram, no video, no performance. I was having an affair with Derek Sutherland. He told me he and Lana were separated and divorcing. He told me she was not pregnant. He lied about everything. I was also in a relationship, and I betrayed my fiancé. I am not a victim here. I made terrible choices. But Lana is a victim, and she deserves to know that Derek is a practiced liar who manipulated multiple people. I am deeply sorry for my role in this, and I will be providing testimony in the divorce proceedings. The comments on Madison's post were more mixed. Some people appreciated her honesty. Others said she should have asked more questions. But the overwhelming response was that Derek was the real villain, and Madison was just another person he had deceived. Madison's fiancé, a guy named Brett who I had never heard of, also posted, "Just want to thank Lana for exposing the truth. I found out my fiancé was cheating because of her bravery in speaking out. Dodged a bullet. Best of luck to you and your baby, Lana." Meanwhile, Helen's legal work was moving fast. Within a week of filing, we had a hearing for emergency support. Derek showed up with a cheap lawyer who looked overwhelmed. Helen brought printouts of the viral videos, the security footage, witness statements from the resort, Madison's admission of the affair, and financial records Helen had subpoenaed from the bank. The judge, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes, reviewed everything. Then she looked at Derek with undisguised contempt. "Mr. Sutherland, I have been a judge for 23 years. I have seen many cases of marital misconduct. But abandoning your 8 months pregnant wife at a remote gas station while you vacation with your paramour might be the most callous thing I have encountered. Temporary spousal support is granted in the amount of $4,000 per month, effective immediately. Child support will be determined after the birth. You will have no contact with Miss Lana except through attorneys. This restraining order is granted. Do you understand?" Derek mumbled something. His lawyer looked like he wanted to disappear. I said, "Do you understand?" The judge repeated, louder. "Yes, Your Honor," Derek said, his face red with humiliation. Walking out of that courthouse, I felt powerful. The system was working. Justice was happening. But the public reckoning was not done yet. Patricia, who had been mostly quiet, except for one disastrous Facebook post defending Derek, decided to try again. She posted a long, rambling message about how she raised her son right, and I was a manipulative woman who trapped him with a pregnancy, and the media was twisting everything. The post was shared thousands of times, but not in support. People dissected every line, pointed out the victim blaming, highlighted her cruelty. Within hours, her employer, a school district where she worked as an assistant principal, announced she was being placed on administrative leave. The values expressed in recent social media posts do not reflect the values of our district. We are reviewing this matter. Donna also tried to apologize again, posting a video where she cried and said she was just going along with family and did not realize how serious it was. But people found inconsistencies. She had posted mocking content about me for months. She had actively participated in the cruelty. Her employer, the HR department, fired her for conduct inconsistent with our mission of workplace dignity. Tyler, the quietest of the family, lost several landscaping contracts when clients said they did not want someone with his character working on their properties. Derek's family was imploding, and it was all their own doing. They had documented their own cruelty. They had been so confident in their righteousness that they had never considered there might be consequences. I did a third interview with Jade, this time for a national morning show that flew her out to co-host with me. We sat in a studio in front of a live audience, and I told my story again. But this time, I also talked about recovery. I have filed for divorce. I have an incredible attorney. I have support from people I never expected. My father-in-law, Graham, Derek's dad who left the family years ago, has been visiting. He brings baby gifts and tells me stories about what Derek was like as a kid before Patricia's influence took over. It helps me understand that this was not about me. This was about a man who was raised to believe women were less than him. The host, a warm woman named Angela, asked, "What do you want for your daughter?" I thought about that question. I want her to grow up knowing her worth. I want her to see that her mother did not accept mistreatment. I want her to never ever think it is okay to be treated like a burden for having needs. And I want her to know that asking for help, standing up for yourself, that is not weakness. That is strength. The audience applauded. Some people were crying. After the show, I got messages from domestic violence organizations asking me to speak at events. I got messages from women saying my story gave them courage to leave their own abusive situations. I got messages from men saying they were ashamed of how they had treated partners and were seeking therapy. My story was bigger than me now. It had become a catalyst for conversations about financial abuse, emotional manipulation, the way society excuses men's cruelty. But personally, what mattered most was the envelope Helen handed me 2 weeks after the courthouse hearing. "Settlement offer from Derek's attorney," she said with a satisfied smile. I opened it. Derek was offering me the house, fully paid off, the car. 60% of the savings, which turned out to be $130,000 I did not even know we had. And child support of $1,500 a month, plus half of all medical and educational expenses, plus alimony of $2,000 a month for 3 years. "This is the best settlement I have seen in 15 years of practicing law," Helen said. "He has no leverage. His attorney knows if this goes to trial, Derek will be destroyed. The judge already hates him. The evidence against him is overwhelming. He wants this over quietly." I signed the papers that same day. The divorce would be final 60 days after the birth of the baby, as required by Arizona law. But effectively, I was free. 6 weeks after the abandonment, I moved back into the house that was now legally mine. Derek had already moved out, taking his clothes and personal items and nothing else per the settlement agreement. Walking into that house felt different now. It was not Derek's house that I was allowed to live in. It was my house, my space, my fresh start. The first thing I did was paint the nursery. I chose a soft yellow with white clouds on the ceiling. Graham came over to help, bringing his painting supplies and expertise. We spent a Saturday afternoon transforming the room, talking about his hopes for being a grandfather. I missed so much with Derek, Donna, and Tyler, he said sadly as he rolled paint onto the wall. Patricia pushed me out, and they believed everything she said about me. But maybe I can do better with this little one. If you will let me. You are already doing better, I assured him. You are here. You are trying. That is more than Derek is doing. Graham had been visiting twice a week, bringing groceries, helping with house projects, just being present. He did not make excuses for Derek, but he did provide context that helped me understand how Patricia had been controlling from the beginning, how she criticized everything Graham did, undermined his parenting, made the children dependent on her approval, how she had groomed Derek specifically to be her golden child, the one who could do no wrong, the one whose needs always came first. I should have fought harder to protect them from her, Graham said. I let her win because the fight was too exhausting. That was wrong of me. I see that now. You cannot change the past, I told him gently. But you can be better now. That is what I am trying to do too. The house slowly transformed. I used some of the settlement money to buy new furniture, to make the space mine instead of Derek's. I put up photos of my family, of my friends, of my nursing school graduation. I reclaimed my own life in that space. My old supervisor from the hospital called 2 weeks after I moved back. Lana, I have been following your story. We all have. And I want you to know that when you are ready to come back to work, we have a position for you. Better than what you left. Pediatric nurse coordinator, flexible schedule, great benefits. You can work 3 days a week if you want. We support working mothers here. I cried on the phone with her. Really? You want me back? Lana, you were one of our best nurses. We were devastated when you left. If you are ready to come back, we would be honored to have you. Having my career back, even before the baby was born, changed something fundamental in me. I was not just Derek's ex-wife, or the woman from that viral video. I was Lana, pediatric nurse, professional, capable woman who happened to also be a mother. I started attending a support group for women leaving financial abuse situations. Every Tuesday evening, 8 of us met at a community center and shared our stories. Some women were still in abusive relationships, planning their exits. Some were newly out, scared and struggling. Some, like me, were further along in recovery. Hearing their stories, I realized how common this was. How many women were controlled through money, isolated from support systems, made to feel small and dependent. And I realized my platform, this unwanted viral fame, could actually help. I started speaking at events. Small ones at first, local domestic violence awareness seminars, then bigger ones, conferences, fundraisers. I partnered with a financial literacy organization to create workshops teaching women how to protect themselves financially, how to recognize warning signs of economic abuse, how to build independence. The viral story had raised $78,000 through a GoFundMe that strangers had set up without my knowledge. I used that money to create a scholarship fund for women leaving abusive situations who wanted to go back to school or start careers. Eddie, the gas station attendant who had saved my life by calling the news, came to one of my speaking events with his whole family. His daughter, the news intern, was so proud that her tip had helped break the story. We hugged, and I thanked him again for seeing me as a person worth helping when my own husband had not. Jade, the reporter who had first told my story, became a real friend. She visited regularly, bringing takeout and staying to chat about life beyond the viral video. She was working on a longer documentary about financial abuse, featuring my story among others. My own family, back from their cruise and able to be reached again, came out to stay for 2 weeks as I got closer to my due date. My mother cried when she saw the house, the nursery, how I had rebuilt my life. My father wanted to find Derek and have a talk, but I convinced him that was not necessary. Derek was already facing every consequence that mattered. Catherine, the resort manager, stayed in touch too. She sent care packages with baby supplies, notes of encouragement, and an open invitation to come back to Palmetto Shores anytime I wanted a vacation. "You will always be family here," she wrote. My nursing friends, the ones I had drifted away from during my marriage, came back into my life. They threw me a baby shower, making up for the one Derek's family had refused to throw because they did not see the point. 40 women showed up, bringing gifts, love, and support. I sobbed through the whole thing. The baby was due any day now. I had a hospital bag packed, a birth plan ready, and a list of people to call. Graham would be there. Jade wanted to be there if I was comfortable with it. My mother was staying until after the birth. I had a whole team of support, which was more than I ever had during the pregnancy. 3 days before my due date, my phone rang. Unknown number again, but I had learned to answer these because they were often important. "Lana?" The voice was female, older, shaky. "This is Patricia." I almost hung up, but something in her voice stopped me. "What do you want, Patricia?" "I need to apologize. Really apologize. Not the fake ones I posted online, but a real one." She was crying. "You were right about everything. About me. About how I raised Derek. About everything. I have lost my job. I have lost respect in my community. Donna and Tyler barely speak to me. And it is my fault. All of it. I turned my children into cruel people because I was cruel. I was jealous of you, Lana. Jealous that Derek loved you, that you were going to give him a family, that you were everything I was not, so I poisoned him against you. I encouraged the abandonment. I laughed when you chased the car. And I am so sorry." I sat down, stunned. Patricia was actually taking responsibility. "I do not expect you to forgive me," she continued. "I do not even know if I deserve to ever meet my grandchild. But I am in therapy. Real therapy. Not just saying it. I am working on myself. And I needed you to know that you did not deserve any of what we did to you. You deserve to be welcomed into the family. You deserve to be loved and supported. And I failed you completely." I did not know what to say. Part of me wanted to scream at her, to list every cruel thing she had done. But another part of me recognized something I had learned in my support group. Hurt people. Hurt people. And Patricia was clearly very hurt. "Thank you for calling," I said carefully. "I appreciate the apology. But I am not ready to have you in my life or in my daughter's life. Maybe someday, if you really do change. But not now." "I understand," Patricia said quietly. "I will respect that. Just please know that I am sorry. Truly sorry." After she hung up, I sat with my hand on my belly, feeling the baby move. I had not forgiven Patricia. I might never fully forgive her. But hearing her take responsibility, hearing her admit what she had done, that was more than Derek had ever managed. It was not closure, but it was something. 3 days later, at 2 a.m, my water broke. I called Graham, who arrived within 15 minutes. We drove to the hospital together, him talking calmly to keep me centered through the contractions, me squeezing his hand probably too hard. Labor was long, 21 hours, but I was surrounded by support. My mother arrived by dawn. Jade came during afternoon visiting hours with flowers. My birth team was amazing. And when I finally pushed my daughter into the world at 11:23 p.m., I cried so hard I could barely see her. Emma Rose. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. Healthy, beautiful, perfect. She had my nose and eyes that looked like they might be Derek's color, but I decided that was okay. She was not Derek. She was herself, brand new, full of possibility. Graham held her and wept. She looks like Derek did when he was born, before everything went wrong. Maybe she will have a better life than he did. The nurses took photos, gave us time alone, brought food when I was ready. I held Emma against my chest and whispered all the promises I had been saving up. That I would protect her. That I would teach her to value herself. That I would show her what real love looked like, not the twisted version I had accepted for too long. Derek requested to meet Emma through the attorneys 2 weeks after she was born. After long discussions with Helen and Graham, I agreed to one supervised visit at the attorney's office. Derek was not a danger to Emma physically, but I was not ready to trust him unsupervised. When Derek walked into that conference room and saw Emma for the first time, he broke down. He held her carefully, cried, and said to me, "I am so sorry, Lana. I know that does not fix anything, but I am so sorry." He looked different. Thinner, tired, older. His whole life had collapsed, and it showed. He was living in a small apartment, working at a lesser accounting firm for half his old salary, attending court-ordered therapy for the domestic violence charges that had been filed against him. "You hurt me more than I knew it was possible to be hurt," I said quietly, Emma sleeping in his arms. "You made me feel worthless. You abandoned me when I was most vulnerable. You cheated on me through my entire pregnancy. And your family was cruel in ways I am still processing." "I know," Derek whispered. "I know all of that, and I do not know how to make it right." "You cannot make it right," I told him. "But you can be better. For Emma. She deserves a father who shows up, who pays his child support, who stays in therapy, who becomes the man you should have been all along. Can you do that?" "I will try," he said. "I promise I will try." I did not know if I believed him. But I knew I would be watching, and so would the court system. He would have supervised visits until he proved himself trustworthy. He would pay his child support because the state would garnish his wages if he did not. He had no power over me anymore. By the time Emma was 2 months old, my life had settled into a new rhythm. I was back at work part-time, 3 days a week, and Emma was in an excellent daycare where the staff loved her. On my days off, I took care of her, attended support groups, spoke at occasional events, and slowly healed. Graham was an amazing grandfather, visiting twice a week, babysitting when I needed to run errands, sharing in all of Emma's milestones. He sent Patricia photos sometimes, with my permission, but maintained my boundary that she was not welcome to visit yet. Donna and Tyler sent apology letters through Graham. Long letters, actually thoughtful ones, admitting what they had done wrong and not making excuses. I had not responded yet. Maybe I would someday. Or maybe not. That was my choice to make. Madison sent a gift for Emma, a beautiful handmade blanket, and a card that said, "I hope she grows up happy and loved, the way every child deserves." I sent a thank you note. I had forgiven Madison more easily than Derek's family, because she at least had been lied to. She was not blameless, but she was not the villain either. My scholarship fund helped its 12th woman last month. A single mother of 2 who had finally left her financially abusive husband and wanted to become a dental hygienist. The fund covered her tuition and childcare costs. She sent me a thank you email that made me cry. Jade's documentary about financial abuse premiered at a film festival and won an award. My segment was the opening story. Watching it with Emma in my arms, seeing how far I had come, I felt proud of myself in a way I never had before. On a quiet Sunday evening, 6 months after the gas station abandonment, I sat in Emma's nursery in our house, that was legally and truly mine, rocking her to sleep. She was growing so fast, already smiling and cooing, her eyes bright with curiosity about the world. I thought about that day in the desert, standing abandoned and terrified, not knowing what would happen next. I thought about how the worst moment of my life had somehow led to the best transformation. How being left behind had taught me to stand up. How public shame had created accountability. How strangers' support had rebuilt my faith in humanity. "You know what I learned, Emma," I whispered to my sleeping daughter. "Sometimes the worst betrayal becomes your greatest liberation. When someone shows you they do not value you, believe them, and then walk away. Or in my case, let them drive away. Because on the other side of that abandonment, you will find your own strength, your real community, and the life you actually deserve." Emma made a small sound in her sleep, and I kissed her forehead. You teach people how to treat you, sweetheart. And more importantly, you teach your children what love should look like by refusing to accept anything less than respect. I was left behind at a gas station, but I did not stay left behind. I fought back, I rebuilt, and I won. I looked around the nursery, at the yellow walls Graham and I had painted, at the photos of people who actually loved us, at the life I had created from the ashes of the old one. Emma would grow up in a home full of real love, with a mother who had her own career and independence, surrounded by people who showed up and stayed. She would never wonder if she was too much. She would never accept being treated like a burden. She would never let anyone make her feel small, because I would teach her better. Because I had learned, the hard way, what real strength looked like. And on those days when the memories hurt, when I remembered the humiliation and pain, I would look at Emma and remember that she was worth every bit of the fight. That becoming her mother, on my own terms with my own power, was worth every public moment, every viral video, every piece of my privacy I gave up to hold Derek accountable. I was not just the woman who was abandoned at a gas station anymore. I was Lana, pediatric nurse coordinator, domestic violence advocate, single mother, survivor, fighter. I was a woman who had taken the worst thing that ever happened to her and turned it into purpose. And that was enough. That was more than enough. That was everything. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a moment where the worst thing that happened to you ended up being a turning point towards something better? How did you find the courage to stand up for yourself when everything seemed impossible? Share your story in the comments below. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Share this video with someone who might need to hear this message. Sometimes, knowing you are not alone is the first step toward finding your own strength. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope it brought you something valuable, whether that is validation, courage, or just the reminder that you are worth fighting for. Take care of yourselves, protect your peace, and remember that asking for help is not weakness. It is the bravest thing you can do. Until next time, stay strong and know your worth.